مساء الخير متابعينا ومشاهدينا من قناة الأخبار. معكم حسين هاشم وحلقة خاصة ومباشرة تتعلق بخطاب الاتحاد أو الستيت اوف ذا يونيون للرئيس الأمريكي جو بايدن. هذا الخطاب اللي تتجه يعني له الانظار إن كان في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية أو في جميع أنحاء العالم. هذا عرف وتقليد عمره عشرات السنين في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. اليوم نحن وياكم رح نستعرض هيدا الخطاب للرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن. رح نتحدث عن اهم النقاط رح يتحدث عليها جو بايدن. خليني قبل ما يبلش يعني خلال دقائق المفروض بايدن يبلش بالخطاب تبعه، لانه تقريبا كلهم تجمعوا بالكونغرس الامريكي. هذا الخطاب اللي بيتابعه الملايين في الولايات المتحده الامريكيه وخارجها اسمه خطاب حاله الاتحاد. رح يلقي الرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن في الكونغرس بدايه، يعني هلا خلال دقائق المفروض انه يبلش. خطاب حاله الاتحاد هو تقليد امريكي متوارث. اكيد بعد شوي رح ننقل على الستيت اوف ذا يونيون ورح نعرض لكم شو عم بيصير بالتحديد، ولكن عم نعطيكم شويه معلومات قبل ما يبلشوا. هو تقليد امريكي متوارث منذ فتره طويله، تجتمع خلاله كل فروع الحكومه الفيدراليه في قاعه واحده، ويتحدث فيه الرئيس الامريكي عن انجازات العام الماضي ومراجعه ما يبدو.
Mr. Speaker, the President's Cabinet.
هون بلشنا نشوف دخول اعضاء اللي بدنا نسميها الحكومه تبع بايدن. خلينا نحطها بهذه الطريقه احلى بيكون. خليني اعطيكم شويه معلومات قبل ما يبلشوا، لانه مهم جدا هذا الخطاب صراحه. في اكثر من شغله لازم تركزوا عليها اليوم بهيدا الخطاب، كثير عالم عم بيركزوا عليها. اولا موضوع، خلينا نوقف الصوت شوي. اولا موضوع بده يتحدث عن انجازاته في الاقتصاد، لانه مثل ما بتعرفوا العالم عم بتعاني من انفليشن ومن تضخم، فبده يبرر هذا الموضوع، بده يحاول يبرهن انه لا هو زبط الاقتصاد. الشغله الثانيه اللي ممكن نشوفها اليوم يتحدث عنه هو الحدود الامريكيه مع امريكا الجنوبيه وخاصه مع المكسيك في تكساس، خاصه المواجهه ما بينه وما بين تكساس. هيدي شغله لازم يحكي عنها، رح يتحدث عنها. بالاضافه الى ذلك رح يتحدث عن حقوق الاجهاض في الولايات المتحده الامريكيه، الابورشن رايتس، لحتى يبرهن هو قديش فرق بينه وبين ترامب. ايضا بده يتحدث عن موضوع دور الولايات المتحده الامريكيه في الخارج وخاصه في الشرق الاوسط، الحرب الاسرائيليه على غزه، تسليح اسرائيل، الحلف اللي عملوه في البحر الاحمر لمواجهه اليمن والحوثيين. كمان رح يتحدث عن هذا الموضوع. وايضا بده يتحدث بناء على التسريبات الاعلاميه عن التهديدات للديمقراطيه في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. فعدة مواضيع سيتحدث ترامب وبايدن أعتذر ويتطرق إليها اليوم، رح نتابعها نحن وياكم. رح نعطيكم ترجمة من خلال يعني من خلال الخبر العاجل من تحت، رح تطلع ترجمة لخطاب الرئيس الأمريكي جو بايدن. أكيد نتمنى منكم أن تعملوا شير لهذا الفيديو على أوسع نطاق وتعطونا رأيكم بالاشياء اللي عم بيتحدث فيها بايدن لما يبلش الخطاب تبعه. اكيد يعني خلال هلا يعني خلال توجه بايدن الى الكونغرس كان هناك متظاهرين عم بيسكروا الطريق بين البيت الابيض والكونغرس، و يعني هذا موضوع مهم جدا. هناك متظاهرين يدعمون القضيه الفلسطينيه كانوا عم بيسكروا الطريق من البيت الابيض للكونغرس الامريكي. طيب خلينا نحط الصوت حتى تقدروا تحضروا شو عم بيصير. اكيد مثل ما شايفين على الشاشه نحن وياكم رح نحضر خطاب الرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن. المفروض بايدن يدخل الى الكونغرس الامريكي خلال دقيقه ونص، المفروض يكون صار داخل الكونغرس الامريكي. اكيد اذا عندكم اي سؤال استفيدوا من هذا الوقت قبل ما يبلش بايدن لتكتبوا اسئلتكم. اي راي عندكم اياه خلينا نشارك نحن وياكم بالاراء. خلينا نشوف مين عم يحضرنا. هيام، شكرا يا هيام. جميل، يسعد مساك. وايضا جميل زيدان، اهلا وسهلا. بالاضافه الى ابو مروان على ما اعتقد، يسعد مساك، اهلا وسهلا فيكم جميعا. اكيد مستمرين في هذه التغطيه لخطاب الرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن. خطاب مهم جدا، خاصة بالوقت اللي عم نمرق فيه نحن هلا حاليا في ظل الحرب في الشرق الاوسط اللي بدنا نسميها، في ظل التضخم في الولايات المتحدة الامريكيه، بظل المواجهة ما بين الحكومة الفيدرالية وحكومة تكساس. وهذا امر مهم جدا وخطير، من المرات القليلة بالتاريخ الامريكي الحديث اللي عم نشوف هذه المواجهة. فمهم جدا يعني متابعة هذا الخطاب لنعرف لوين رايح بايدن صراحة. يعني مهم جدا لأنه هذا الخطاب غير إنه أوكي بيقول لنا شو عمل السنة الماضية، كمان بيعطينا مثل نظرة عامة على شو رح يركز بايدن بهيدي السنة. مهم جدا هذا الخطاب، يعني أكثر ما لكم يعني كتير عالم تحضروا بيتابعوا. حسن أهلا وسهلا وعليكم السلام. سامي أهلا وسهلا فيك، مساء النور. هيثم أهلا وسهلا. مو أهلا وسهلا. سناء أهلا وسهلا فيك. بدري تحياتنا أهلا وسهلا فيك. ما رح يشوف دور تاني ولا حتى بحلمه أكيد. يعني خلينا بس نسكر هيدي اللي هون لنقدر نشوف التعليقات تبعكم. جميل حيدر أهلا وسهلا فيك. اعطونا رايكم، مين بتعتقدوا رح يربح بالانتخابات؟ هل يا ترى بايدن ام ترامب؟ حابب اتناقش انا وياكم، كوننا لايف ونحن منتظرين ليبلش بايدن خطابه، فخلينا نتناقش نحن وياكم في هذه النقطه المهمه. بتمنى تستفيدوا من هذا الوقت ايضا لتعملوا تاج لاشخاص ثانيين وتعملوا شير لهذا الفيديو. فادي اهلا وسهلا. بكري اهلا وسهلا. سامي ترامب اخبارك انت مع مين؟ بنحكي بالموضوع ان شاء الله بحلقات قادمه سوف نتكلم في هذا الموضوع. يعني انا ابديت رايي بكل وضوح وصراحه خلال الانتخابات التمهيديه. انا كنت عم بعمل اكثر من فيديو ورأيي كان واضح، يعني فهمي كيف انه بالانتخابات التمهيديه ما راح نصوت لبايدن. فيما يتعلق بمحمد عم يسأل انه يعني ما هو المفيد في خطابه؟ نحن كاشخاص بنتابع، يعني كاشخاص اولا امريكيين عايشين في الولايات المتحده الامريكيه، وثانيا كاشخاص في الاعلام، ثالثا كاشخاص متابعين لما يحصل. خطاب الاتحاد هو مهم جدا صراحه، لانه دائما الرئيس تعرف الاجنده تبع الرئيس الامريكي من خلال هذا الخطاب، وله اهميه كبيره جدا، اهميه سياسيه. يعني هذا الخطاب يعني الرئيس لما بينجح فيه بيأثر على استطلاعات الرأي تبعه وعلى جماهيريته في امريكا، واذا فشل فيه كمان بتأثر عليه للرئيس بشكل كبير جدا. ف اوكي شكلنا هون رح
President of the United States.
اوكي وصل بايدن على الكونغرس الامريكي. اكيد رح نشرح الخطاب، رح نكتب اهم النقاط اللي رح يمرقوا بهذا الخطاب مثل ما معودين علي انا. يعني هدفنا هو زياده التوعيه بالجاليه العربيه حول كل شيء عم بيصير بالولايات المتحده الامريكيه وباللغه العربيه. اوكي مثل ما شايفين وصل الرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن الى الكونغرس الامريكي لحتى يلقي خطاب حاله الاتحاد، اسمه ستيت اوف ذا يونيون. هيدا بيعملوا مره بالسنه لهيدا الخطاب. سيتحدث عن عده ملفات اقتصاديه، ملفات هجره ولجوء، ايضا ملفات حقوق المراه ومنها الاجهاض، بالاضافه الى الحرب في الشرق الاوسط. هلا بيسلم هون اول ما بفوت الرئيس، مش بس هو يعني كل الرؤساء اول ما بفوتوا بيسلموا على اعضاء الكونغرس اللي هن حابين يسلموا عليه. ان شاء الله خالد ساتكلم عن هذا الموضوع بالاسابيع المقبله. معنا وقت لنتحدث عن هذا الموضوع، يعني المواجهه ما بين ترامب وبايدن معنا وقت كافي لحتى نتحدث عنها ونناقشها نحن وياكم ونكون صريحين وواضحين مثل ما معودين علينا. فلدينا الوقت الكافي للحديث عن هذا الموضوع. اكيد دائما انا بتحدث وبعطي اراء يعني ب لايفات بعملهم على تيك توك، فالمنو متابعنا يتابعنا على تيك توك. اكيد بتمنى خليني استفيد من هذا الوقت لذكركم انه المنو متابعنا يتابعنا على تيك توك، على فيسبوك، على انستغرام، وايضا سبسكرايب على يوتيوب. اوكي مثل ما شايفين قدامنا هون الرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن. اكيد مثل ما شايفين هون الرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن دخل الى قاعه الكونغرس الامريكي لحتى يلقي الخطاب تبعه. اكيد على المنصه تبع الكونغرس الامريكي رح يكون متواجد نائب الرئيس كامالا هاريس، وايضا رئيس مجلس النواب جونسون، بالاضافه الى كاتب الكونغرس وعدد من اعضاء الكونغرس. بهذا الخطاب بيكون موجود كل اعضاء الكونغرس الامريكي الا اذا حدا منهم مقاطع، بالاضافه الى قضاة بالمحكمه الدستوريه العليا اللي السوبريم كورت، بالاضافه الى ضيوف بيكونوا عازمينهم ان كان جو بايدن البيت الابيض او ان كان اعضاء في الكونغرس الامريكي بيكونوا عازمينهم. في سؤال حطينا لكم اياه على الشاشه، هل ستصوتون لبايدن او ترامب؟ خلينا نشارك نحن وياكم بالاراء. اكيد عم بعرض ارائكم على الشاشه، الاراء اللي عم تقولوها حضرتكم عم نحطها على الشاشه. لا نتبنى الاراء نحن، ولكن يعني علينا عرضها مثل ما بيقولوا، يعني احتراما للاشخاص اللي عم يكتبوا ارائهم علينا عرض هذه الاراء. بنك اوف امريكا رح تصوتوا له. اكيد نحن بانتظار بدايه خطاب حاله الاتحاد للرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن، ورح يطلع ترجمه لابرز ما يقوله بايدن في اسفل الشاشه. عم بيتصور سيلفي. فور مور ييرز، ايه كلمه هوا اذا فور مور ييرز. شو رايكم بهيدي الفور مور ييرز؟ 4 سنوات زياده بدهم الجماعه. اكيد بعدنا ما زلنا في انتظار انه يوصل الرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن الى المنبر ويبلش الخطاب لحتى نسمع شو بده يقول. صراحه يعني صراحه انا بدي اشوف شو بده يحكي الزلمه. مهتم جدا اعرف شو بده يحكي بايدن، شو هن الملفات اللي رح يتطرق لها. مهم جدا، خاصة شو بده يحكي عن غزة والشرق الأوسط واللي عم بيعملوا بالشرق الأوسط. صراحة مهم جدا مهم جدا. أنا مثلكم راح أحضر الخطاب. هذا الخطاب هو لايف منوش مسجل، مثلكم راح أنا وياكم نحضر هذا الخطاب المباشر. هذا خطاب مباشر وليس مسجل، وبالتالي المساعدين تبعه ما راح يقدروا يساعدوه هون. يعني هون أنت وقوتك يا بايدن اليوم. نحن ننتظر فور مور ييرز. الله لا يوفقكم على التعليقات. طيب بنكمل. اعملوا لنا شير، اكيد خلينا نستفيد من هذا الوقت. اعملوا شير للفيديو، اعملوا تاج لاشخاص ثانيين. عجبني تعليق سوري. حاتم سوداني: اللبنانيين والسوريين والفلسطينيين بيحبوا بايدن لأنه عايشين على المساعدات. كلام مردود عليك يا معلم حاتم، هذا كلام مردود عليك. كل الاحترام لكل الجالية العربية اللبنانية والفلسطينية والسوريين والعراقيين والمصريين وكل واحد عربي، كل الاحترام لهم. 3/4 و80% ونسبة كبيرة منهم ناجحين ويساهمون في هذا الاقتصاد وعم بيعطوا هذا الاقتصاد وهن تعيبة وشغيلة وعندهم مؤسسات وبلادهم معلمين، وأقل مستوى جرائم هو موجود عند الجالية العربية في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. كلامك مردود عليك صراحة، تعليق لا أخلاقي وبيدلل على قديش أنت بلا أخلاق صراحة للأسف. الجالية العربية واللبنانية والسورية والفلسطينية والعراقية بيشرفوك وبيشرفوا اللي مثلك.
Good evening. Good evening.
اوكي، بلش الخطاب تبع الرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن، رح نستمع له ونعمل لكم ترجمه باسفل الشاشه. اعملوا شير للفيديو واعملوا تاج لاشخاص ثانيين. يلا اعطونا رايكم بالخطاب نحن عم نحكي.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans. In January 1941, Franklin Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation, and he said, I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War
جاي بده يفيق الكونغرس، بس حدا يفيقه له هو أول شيء، هو جاي لحتى يفيق الكونغرس.
What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. But Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that needs to defend itself. That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers at war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way. But now, assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Now, my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, do whatever the hell you want. That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable. America is a founding member of NATO, the military alliance of democratic nations created after World War II to prevent war and keep the peace. And today, We've made NATO stronger than ever. We welcomed Finland to the alliance last year. And just this morning, Sweden officially joined, and their minister is here tonight. I'm going to stand up. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And they know how to fight. Mr. Prime Minister, welcome to NATO, the strongest military alliance.
مبلش بايدن عم ينتقد بشكل كبير جدا السابق دونالد ترامب، خاصة ينتقده لما قال له لبوتين اعمل اللي بدك اياه.
History is literally watching. History is watching. If the United States walks away, it will put Ukraine at risk. Europe is at risk. The free world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away. We will not bow down. I will not bow down. In a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy. Many of you are.
نقطة مهمة جدا، خليني نترجم لكم إياها هون، وعم نحط لكم ترجمة من تحت نحن بس. وجه رسالة قوية جدا لبوتين، قال له إنه الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية لن تتراجع ولن تستسلم، وقال له إنه هو بايدن لن يستسلم ولن يتراجع. معناتها إنه هو هيدي واحدة من النقاط المهمة بدكم ركزوا فيها، إنه هو معناتها ما راح يتخلى عن أوكرانيا، وراح يضل يعطي مصاري لأوكرانيا، وراح يضل يدعم أوكرانيا إن كان بمصاري ولا بسلاح. نرجع لبايدن.
America stood. America stood strong and democracy prevailed. We must be honest. The threat to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win. As I've done ever since being elected to office, I ask all of you, without regard to party, to join together and defend democracy. Remember your oath of office of defending against all threats, foreign and domestic. Respect free and fair elections, restore trust in our institutions, and make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America, zero place. Again, it's not hyperbole to suggest history is watching. We're watching. Your children and grandchildren will read about this day and what we do. History is watching another assault on freedom. Joining us tonight is Latoya Beasley, a social worker from Birmingham, Alabama. 14 months ago, she and her husband welcomed a baby girl thanks to the miracle of IVF. She scheduled treatments to have that second child. The Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state, unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. She was told her dream would have to wait. What her family had got through should never have happened unless Congress acts. It could happen again. So tonight, let's stand up for families like hers. To my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer. Guarantee the right to AVF. Guarantee it nationwide. Like most Americans, I believe Roe v. Wade got it right. I thank Vice President Harris for being an incredible leader, defending reproductive freedom, and so much more. Thank you. My predecessor came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it. Look at the chaos that has resulted. Joining us tonight is Kate Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas. She's become pregnant again and had a fetus of a fatal condition. Her doctor told Kate that her own life and her ability to have children in the future were at risk if she didn't act. Because Texas law banned her ability to act, Kate and her husband had to leave the state to get what she needed. What her family got through should have never happened as well, but it's happening in too many others. There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest to leave their states to get the treatment they need. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that.
يعني شكلهم جو بايدن والحزب الديمقراطي كمان مرة تانية رح يستخدموا حق الإجهاض بالمرأة بهذه الانتخابات. قال بشكل واضح هلا، يعني هو عم يحكي، قال إنه رح تشوفوا النساء رح يستخدموا حقهم في التصويت لحتى يسمعوا صوتهم. فهلا عم يحكي عن موضوع الإجهاض، وإنه الجمهوريين بدهم ياخذوا حق الإجهاض من المرأة، وإنه النساء لازم يطلعوا ويصوتوا لحتى يحافظوا على هذا الحق. وانتقد القضاة في المحكمة الدستورية وهم موجودين هون.
If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again. Folks, America cannot go back. I'm here tonight to show what I believe is the way forward, because I know how far we come. 4 years ago next week, before I came to office.
قال لهم بشكل واضح رجعوا لي الكونغرس الامريكي يصير كله ديمقراطيين، يعني الاكثريه للديمقراطيين، وببرئ لكم حق الاجهاض ليصير مكرس في الدستور الامريكي. فمجددا عم يستخدم حق الاجهاض كاداه انتخابيه لحتى يحصل على اصوات.
A mental health crisis of isolation and loneliness. A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told.
مركز على ترامب كثير، نزل مثل ما بيقولوا يعني انتقادات بترامب طالع نازل.
Future of American possibilities, building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down, investing in all America, in all Americans, to make sure everyone has a fair shot, and we leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccine that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback. That's what America does. That's what America does. Folks, I inherited an economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record. Unemployment at 50-year lows. A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a literal act of hope. With historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting. Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are, we will. More people have health insurance today.
خلينا نقطة مهمة حكى عنها، خلينا نترجم لكم إياها. عم يمدح بالاقتصاد الأمريكي بأنه هو عمل اقتصاد مميز واقتصاد قوي، والعالم كله بيحسدنا على الاقتصاد اللي عندنا إياه، وإنه عندنا أقل مستويات للبطالة في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. وحكى أيضا عن لقاح كورونا وكيف هلا الكورونا ما عادش بتحكم بحياتنا، وبدنا نستخدموا نفس التكنولوجي أو لحتى يعملوا لقاح للسرطان.
Products and exporting American jobs. We're exporting American products and creating American jobs right here in America, where they belong. And it takes time, but the American people are beginning to feel it. Consumer studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America has been the law of the land since the 1930s. Past administrations, including my predecessor, including some Democrats as well in the past, failed to buy American. Not anymore. On my watch, federal projects that you fund, like helping build American roads, bridges, and highways, will be made with American products and built by American workers. Creating good-paying American jobs. And thanks to our CHIPS and Science Act, the United States is investing more in research and development than ever before. During the pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips, that drove up the price of everything from cell phones to automobiles. And by the way, we invented those chips right here in America. Well, instead of having to import them, private companies are now investing billions of dollars to build new chip factories here in America, creating tens of thousands of jobs. Many of those jobs paying $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree. In fact, my policies have attracted $650 billion in private sector investment in clean energy, advanced manufacturing, creating tens of thousands of jobs here in America. And thanks to our bipartisan infrastructure law, 46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. And by the way, I noticed some of you strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money coming in. I like it. I'm with you. I'm with you. And if any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know. Modernizing our roads and bridges, ports and airports, public transit systems. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage. Providing affordable high-speed internet for every American, no matter where you live, urban, suburban, or rural communities, in red states and blue states. Record investments in tribal communities. Because of my investment in the family farms,
هون عم بيحكي عن الاستثمارات اللي هو عملها بالاقتصاد الامريكي، إن كان الاستثمار بمصانع لتصنيع اشباه المواصلات او السيمي كوندكتور شيبس او الوظائف اللي عم هو يحققها او عدد كبير من البرامج اللي عم يشتغل عليها بالولايات المتحده الامريكيه. فهون عم بيحكي شوي عن الاقتصاد الامريكي.
Before I came to office, the plant was on its way to shutting down. Thousands of workers feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office and we raised the Belvedere repeatedly with auto companies knowing unions would make all the difference. The UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening, the new state-of-the-art battery factories being built to power those cars there at the same. Folks, the folks at Belvedere, I say, instead of your town being left behind, your community is moving forward again. Because instead of watching auto jobs of the future go overseas, 4,000 union jobs with higher wages are building the future in Belvedere right here in America. Here tonight is UAW President Shawn Fain, a great friend and a great labor leader. Shawn, where are you? Stand up. And Dawn Sims, a third generation worker, UAW worker at Belvedere. Shawn, I was proud to be the first president to stand on the picket line. And today, Dawn has a good job in her hometown, providing stability for her family and pride and dignity as well. Showing once again, Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class.
هون عم يحكي عن نقابات العمال بامريكا، وان نقابات العمال بامريكا هن اللي بنوا امريكا، مش المليونيريه والبليونيريه. عم بيقول النقابات واليونيونز هن اللي بنوا امريكا، وامريكا هي من الطبقه الوسطى. فهون عم يمدح بنقابه العمال واليونيونز لانه هن عملوا له اندورسمنت، هن دعموه بالانتخابات.
Right, it's because of you that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger. Tonight, I want to talk about the future of possibilities that we can build together. A future where the days of trickle-down economics are over and the wealthy and the biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations invested than every one of your states in the United States combined. And I represented it for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation, but I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined to turn things around so middle class does well. When they do well, the poor go way up and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well. And there's more to do to make sure you're feeling the benefits of all we're doing. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and I'm ending it.
هون بلش يحكي عن موضوع الادويه في الولايات المتحده الامريكيه ووصفات الطبيه. عم بيقول انه اسعارها غاليه جدا، وبده هو ينزل اسعار الادويه في الولايات المتحده الامريكيه، وهون بده يشرح هو كيف بده ينزل اسعار الادويه.
To make, they only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit. And I want to, but what to do next? I want to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for every American who needs it. Everyone. For years, people have talked about it, but finally we got it done and gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs, just like the VA is able to do for veterans. That's not just saving seniors money, it's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion. Because Medicare will no longer have to pay those exorbitant prices to Big Pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the costliest drugs on the market to treat everything from heart disease to arthritis. It's now time to go further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade. They're making a lot of money, guys. and they'll still be extremely profitable. Will not only save lives, it will save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000 a year, even for expensive cancer drugs that cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. I want to cap prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year for everyone. Folks, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but if you want to get an Air Force One and fly to Toronto, Berlin, Moscow, well, even Moscow, probably. And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug, same place. Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, it's still a very big deal.
بعده عم يحكي عن التأمين الصحي بالولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، وأنه الميديكير عم بيتفاوض بأسعار الأدوية لحتى ينزل أسعار الأدوية. هون عم يحكي عن الأوباما كير، قانون الأوباما كير اللي هو بيوفر التأمين الصحي في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، وأنه هو مهم ومطلوب نكمل.
I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before, and we'll stop you again. In fact, I'm not only protecting it, I'm expanding it. They enacted tax credits of $800 per person per year, reduce healthcare costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent. To state the obvious, women are more than half our population. But research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job as First Lady. To pass my plan for $12 billion to transfer women's health research and benefit millions of lives all across America. I know the cost of housing is so important to you. If inflation keeps coming down, mortgage rates will come down as well, and the Fed acknowledges that. But I'm not waiting. I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space. Just for 2 years. And my administration is also eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home, you can save $1,000 or more as a consequence. For millions of renters, we're cracking down on big landlords who use antitrust law, who break antitrust laws by price fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape so builders can get federally financing, which is already helping build a.
نقطة مهمة حكى عنها هون، خليني أحكي عنها. قال إنه الاقتصاد الأمريكي جيد، قال إنه التضخم عم ينزل، قال إنه المورجج القروض تبع المنازل الفايدة تبعهم عم تنزل، قال إنه الوضع لوز وكل شيء تمام. ما بعرف وين عايش بايدن بالنسبة لهيدي النقطة بالتحديد صراحة. وين؟ خبروني النازلين هودي ولا شو؟ خبروني، لأنه أنا مش مارق قدامي إنه هودي الشغلات نزلت. كان الانترست ريت على القروض العقارية 2%، وصل ل 9%، اليوم هو بحدود 7%. وين بيكون نازل؟
Have the best education system in the world. And I suspect all of you, want to give every child, a good start by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. You know, I think I pointed out last year, I think I pointed out last year that children coming from broken homes where there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often, start school, kindergarten, or first grade, having heard 1 million fewer words spoken. Well, studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2- and 4-year degree, no matter what their background is. I met a year and a half ago with the leaders of the Business Roundtable. They were mad that they were angry. I think, well, they were discussing why I wanted to spend money on education. I pointed out to them as vice president, I met with over I think it was 182 of those folks. Don't hold me to the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. And you've had the same experience on both sides now. They say
هون بايدن عم يتحدث عن القطاع التعليمي في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية وأهمية التعليم المجاني والخدمات التعليمية، فهون فات بقطاع التعليم والعلم بشكل عام بأمريكا.
enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce to that enterprise. But none of you do that anymore. Why are you angry with me providing you the opportunity for the best educated workforce in the world? And they all looked at me and said, I think you're right. I want to expand high quality tutoring and summer learning to see that every child learns to read by 3rd grade. I'm also connecting local businesses and high schools so students get hands-on experience and a path to good paying job, whether or not they go to college. And I want to make sure the college is more affordable. Let's continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class families and increase record investments in HBCUs and minority-serving institutions, including Hispanic institutions. When I was told I couldn't universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans, I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million Americans, including nurses, firefighters, and others in public service.
هون عم يتحدث عن القروض الطلابية وإنه هو عمل إعفاء للقروض الطلابية وسمح يعني 4 ملايين شخص من القروض الطلابية تبعهم. تحدث إنه لازم يكون في برامج يعني دروس خصوصية بالصيف للطلاب لحتى يتحسنوا ويقدروا إنه هن يقروا الصف الثالث.
Look, such relief is good for the economy because folks are now able to buy a home, start a business, start a family. While we're at it, I want to give public school teachers a raise. And by the way, the first couple of years, we cut the deficit. Now, let me speak to the question of fundamental fairness for all Americans. I've been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways. We've already cut the federal deficit. We've already cut the federal deficit over $1 trillion. I signed the bipartisan deal to cut another $1 trillion in the next decade. It's my goal to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share. Look, I'm a capitalist. If you want to make or can make $1 million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes. A fair tax code is how we invest things to make this country great. Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut, overwhelmingly benefit the top 1%, the very wealthy and the biggest corporations, and exploded the federal deficit. They added more to the national debt than any presidential term in American history. check the numbers. Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. And they haven't yet. In fact, the child tax credit I passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half. Restore that child tax credit. No child should go hungry in this country.
هون عم يحكي عن الاصلاحات الضريبيه اللي هو حابب يعملها، واتهم الرئيس الامريكي بايدن، اتهم الرئيس الامريكي السابق ترامب انه هو كان عم بيعطي مساعدات واعفاءات ضريبيه للاغنياء في الولايات المتحده الامريكيه، وعم بيقول انه هو هدفه انه يعلي المساعدات او اموال الاطفال بالولايات المتحده الامريكيه. بس خليني اذكركم هذا الموضوع مش بايده، مش بايده. ما في هو والله بشحطه قلم يقول انا بدي اعطي هالقد مصاري. هذا الموضوع بيصير بالكونغرس الامريكي، وبالتالي هذه وعود انتخابيه عم نسمعها نحن من بايدن.
So every big corporation finally begins to pay their fair share. I also want to end tax breaks for big pharma, big oil, private jets, massive executive pay when it's only supposed to be $1 million that can be deducted. They can pay them $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay. No billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse. I propose a minimum tax for billionaires of 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member. Imagine the future of home care and elder care, and people living with disabilities so they can stay in their homes and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for seniors. Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you. The working people who built this country pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have two ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no, you guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealthy. That's good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share. Look, too many corporations raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less. That's why we're cracking down on corporations that engage in price gouging and deceptive pricing, from food to healthcare to housing. In fact, the snack companies think you won't notice if they change the size of the bag and put a hell of a lot fewer, same size bag, put fewer chips in it. No, I'm not joking. It's called shrinkflation. Pass Bobby Casey's bill and stop this. I really mean it. You probably all saw that commercial on Snickers bars. You get charged the same amount, and you got about, I don't know, 10% fewer Snickers in it. Look, I'm also getting rid of junk fees. Those hidden fees at the end of your bill that are there without your knowledge. My administration announced we're cutting credit card late fees from $32 to $8. Banks and credit card companies.
صراحة أنا بتعرفوني بحكي بكل صراحة، هيدي الشغلة الوحيدة اللي عملها منيحة، هيدي رح أعمل عنها حلقة أنا، اوريدي بلشت عليها لهيدي الحلقة، هيدي الشغلة الوحيدة اللي الإدارة تبع بايدن عملتها منيحة، إنه رح ينزلوا الليت تشارج فيز لما أنتم بتتأخروا لتدفعوا الكريدت كارد من $32 ل $8، هيدي الشغلة الوحيدة اللي عملوها منيحة صراحة، خلينا نعطيه حقه على هيدي.
Folks at home, that's why the banks are so mad. It's $20 billion in profit. I'm not stopping there. My administration has proposed rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front so there are no surprises. It matters. It matters. And so does this. In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers.
هون فايت هو والريببليكنز والجمهوريين بمعركة كلامية، عم يحكي هلا عن موضوع الحدود مع المكسيك وشو عم بيعمل ليحمي الحدود.
What are you against? 100 more high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children. This bill would save lives and bring order to the border. It will also give me and any new president new emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, yeah. You're saying low, look at the facts. I know you know how to read. I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win, he viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him, it's not about me. I'd be a winner, not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth it taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly. Folks, I would respectfully suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now.
هنا عم يتحدث عن المشروع القانون بحماية الحدود الأمريكية، وعم بيقول إنه بدل ما هؤلاء الأشخاص عم يدفعون لتجار البشر $8000 رح يفوتوا على أمريكا، لأنه بيعرفوا لما يفوتوا على أمريكا قبل 6-8 سنوات راح يوقفوا قدام قاضي هجرة، ولكن إذا قلصنا هيدي المدة ل6 أسابيع ما عادش محرز لهم إنه هم يفوتوا، وعم يطلب من الجمهوريين إنه يمضوا على هذا المشروع القانون.
Pass it. We can do it together. But that's what he apparently here's what he will not do. I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country. I will not separate families. I will not ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more. Secure the border. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, and so much more. But unlike my predecessor, I know who we are as Americans. We're the only nation in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans, and ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home to people of every place, from every place on earth. They came freely. Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution, to chase dreams.
لاحظين شغلي ما بعرف اذا لاحظتوا شغلي انه هو حكى عن اوكرانيا اول شيء، ترك غزه وفلسطين لاخر شيء. هذا مقصوده يعني، لانه هو بيعرف هلا الساعه بتاخر، الساعه 10 وربع، بس يحكي عن فلسطين يمكن الساعه تكون 10 ونص. فمعظم هؤلاء اللي بصوتوا اللي هن كبار بالعمر بيكونوا ناموا. ف يعني تارك فلسطين شكله للاخير.
I'm ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now. A transformational moment in history happened 59 years ago today in Selma, Alabama. Hundreds of foot soldiers for justice marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, to claim their fundamental right to vote. They were beaten, they were bloody, and left for dead. Our late friend and former colleague, John Lewis, was on that march. We miss him. But joining us tonight are other marchers, both in the gallery and on the floor, including Betty Mae Fikes, known as the voice of Selma, the daughter of gospel singers and preachers. She sang songs of prayer and protest on that bloody Sunday to help shake the nation's conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But 59 years later, there are forces taking us back in time. Voter suppression, election subversion, unlimited dark money, extreme gerrymandering. John Lewis was a great friend to many of us here, but if you truly want to honor him and all the heroes who marched with him, then it's time to do more than talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. And stop denying another core value of America, our diversity across American life. Banning books, it's wrong. Instead of erasing history, let's make history. I want to protect fundamental rights. Pass the Equality Act. And my message to transgender Americans, I have your back. Pass the PRO Act for workers' rights. Raise the federal minimum wage.
هون عم بيحكي عن الاشخاص انه الجمهوريين وهودي اللي بيدعموا انه يشيلوا الكتب من المدارس، هذه الكتب اللي فيها بتحكي عن المثليين وعن الجنس وهيك شغلات، فعم بيقول هذه الكتب لازم تضل ومش لازم نمحي التاريخ، لازم نحافظ على التاريخ.
I'm taking the most significant action ever on climate in the history of the world. I'm cutting our carbon emissions in half by 2030, creating tens of thousands of clean energy jobs like the IBW workers building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Conserving 30% of America's lands and waters by 2030. And taking action on environmental justice, fence line communities smothered by the legacy of pollution. And pattern after the Peace Corps and America Corps, I launched the Climate Corps to put 20,000 young people to work in the forefront of our clean energy future. I'll triple that number in a decade. To state the obvious, all Americans deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office. Year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest increase in history. It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add, we made the largest investment in public safety ever. Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years. But we have more to do. We have to help cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers, more community violence intervention. Give communities the tool to crack down on gun crime, retail crime, and carjacking. Keep building trust, as I've been doing by taking executive action on police reform and calling for it to be the law of the land. Directing my cabinet to review the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed for simply using or having on their record. Take on crimes of domestic violence. I'm ramping up the federal enforcement of the Violence Against Women Act that I proudly wrote when I was a senator. So we can finally end.
خطابه طويل صراحة، يعني هيدي بعتقد من الخطابات الطويلة لرئيس أمريكي، صار له أكثر من ساعة عم بيحكي. أكثر رئيس بالتاريخ الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية حكى هو بيل كلينتون، وهو ديمقراطي أيضا. خطابه طويل جدا يعني.
Sister Jackie was murdered with 21 classmates and teachers in an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple of days. We spent hours and hours with each of the families. We heard their message, so everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. The constant refrain, and I was there for hours meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, that the Vice President is leading the charge. Thank you for doing it. Meanwhile, my predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president. Oh. After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it. There's his quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. I'm proud we beat the NRA when I signed the most significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years because of this Congress. We now must beat the NRA again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Pass universal background checks. None of this. I taught the Second Amendment for 12 years. None of this violates the Second Amendment or vilifies responsible gun owners. You know, as we manage challenges at home, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America. This crisis began on October 7th with a massacre by a terrorist group called Hamas, as you all know.
اخيرا وصل ليحكي عن غزه وفلسطين، خلينا نشوف شو بده يحكي.
Slaughtered after enduring sexual violence, the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust, and 250 hostages taken. Here in this chamber tonight are families whose loved ones are still being held by Hamas. I pledge to all the families that we will not rest until we bring every one of your loved ones home. We also We will also work around the clock to bring home Evan and Paul, Americans being unjustly detained by the Russians and others around the world. Israel has the right to go after Hamas. Hamas ended this conflict by releasing hostages, laying down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has an added burden because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards under hospitals, daycare centers, and all the like. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza. This war has taken a greater toll on innocent civilians than all previous wars in Gaza combined. More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, most of whom are not Hamas. Thousands and thousands of innocent women and children, girls and boys, also orphaned. Nearly 2 million more Palestinians under bombardment or displacement. Homes destroyed, neighborhoods in rubble, cities in ruin. Families without food, water, medicine. It's heartbreaking. I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that would last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released, to get the hostages home and ease the intolerable and humanitarian crisis and build toward an enduring, something more enduring. The United States has been leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day. And Israel must do its part. Israel must allow more aid into Gaza to ensure humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire. They're announcing they're going to have a crossing in northern Gaza. To the leadership of Israel, I say this: humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip. Protecting and saving innocent lives has to be a priority. As we look to the future, the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time. And I say this as a lifelong supporter of Israel. My entire career, no one has a stronger record with Israel than I do. I challenge any of you here. I'm the only American president of Israel in wartime. But there is no other path that guarantees Israel's security and democracy. There is no other path that guarantees Palestinians can live in peace with peace and dignity. And there's no other path that guarantees peace between Israel and all of its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, with whom I'm talking. Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran. That's why I built a coalition of more than a dozen countries to defend international shipping and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. I've ordered strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and our military personnel. For years, I've heard many of my Republican and Democratic friends say that China is on the rise and America is falling behind. They've got it backwards. I've been saying it for over 4 years, even when I wasn't president. America's rising. We have the best economy in the world. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's unfair economic practices. We're standing up for peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. I've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific. India, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Pacific Islands. I've made sure that the most advanced American technologies can't be used in China, not allowing to trade them there. Frankly, for all this tough talk on China, it never occurred to my predecessor to do any of that. I want competition with China, not conflict. And we're in a stronger position to win the conflict of the 21st century against China than anyone else, for that matter, than any.
بعتقد رح نكتفي بهالقد من حكي الرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن، بس خليني احكي عن بعض النقاط اللي تحدث فيها عن الوضع في قطاع غزه وفي فلسطين بالتحديد. خليني استعمل بعض الكلام اللي هو حكي، قال انه هو عم يشتغل بلا كلل للتوصل لوقف اطلاق فوري في قطاع غزه. كما تعلمون يعني امريكا ما هي يعني شركاء اسرائيل، اذا هو فعلا بده يوقف اطلاق نار بياخذ الامر معه تليفون. عم بيقول انه هو نعمل على تحقيق اطلاق نار، افراج عن رهائن، تخفيف المعاناه الانسانيه في غزه. لاسرائيل الحق في القضاء على حماس، طلب من حماس انه هي تتخلى عن سلاحها وتستسلم تستسلم يعني تسلم سلاحها وخلص. طلب من اسرائيليه انه يخلي المساعدات تفوت، وقال لا يمكن ضمان امن المنطقه ويكون في سلام، وذكر السعوديه وهذا ملفت صراحه الا بحل الدولتين. وذكر انه هن عم بيحاولوا يضمنوا الملاحه في البحر الاحمر عشان هيك ينفذوا ضربات ضد الفلسطينيين امن الملاحه. وكما انا ذكرت بفيديو لإلي اليوم طلع اليوم انه هن رح يبنوا ميناء او مرفأ مؤقت في قطاع غزه لحتى يفوتوا مساعدات الانسانيه على القطاع بشكل اكبر. هذه كانت تغطيتنا لخطاب الرئيس بايدن. خلال هذا الخطاب تحدث عن بعض النقاط، مثل انه هو رح يحمي حق الاجهاض، وجه رساله لبايدن انه هو لن يتراجع لن يستسلم وامريكا رح تضليها مع اوكرانيا، وجه انتقادات كبيره جدا لترامب. ذكر انه الاقتصاد الامريكي مميز والعالم بيحسدون عليه وانه البطاله في ادنى مستوياتها. تكلم عن اللقاح وقال هن عم بيستخدموا هيدي التكنيك اللي استخدموها للقاح كورونا ليعملوا لقاح للسرطان. تكلم عن خفض تكلفه الادويه وحمايه الاوباما كير. تكلم عن المدارس والتعليم وغيرها والادويه والميديكير وغيرها، وتحدث عن غزه في النهايه وذكر ما ذكر. هيدي كانت تغطيتنا اليوم لخطاب الرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن في حاله الاتحاد. دائما عم نحاول نخليكم على اطلاع بكل شيء عم بيصير بالولايات المتحده الامريكيه، كان على الصعيد المحلي في امريكا او على صعيد الشرق الاوسط والعالم. هذه كانت تغطيتنا المباشره والخاصه لخطاب الرئيس الامريكي جو بايدن. بنتمنى منكم تعملوا شير لهيدا الفيديو، شاركونا ارائكم بالاشياء اللي طرحها بايدن اليوم واللي حكى عنها. هل بتصدقوا لبايدن؟ ما بتصدقوه؟ اكتبوا لي بمربع التعليقات. كان واضح جدا، قال هو انه اكبر داعم لاسرائيل تاريخيا وبعده اكبر داعم لاسرائيل ورح يضل يدعم اسرائيل. كان واضح جدا في هذا الموضوع. اعطونا رايكم بما طرح بالنقاط اللي ذكرها. لا تنسوا تعملوا شير لهذه الحلقه، ما تنسوا تعملوا تاج لاشخاص ثانيين، ما تنسوا تتابعونا على وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي، لايك وفولو على فيسبوك انستغرام وتيك توك، وسبسكرايب على يوتيوب. المتابعه مجاني دائما. اذا حابين تعرفوا شو عم بيصير بالولايات المتحده الامريكيه وباللغه العربيه بكل موضوعيه بكل حرفيه، القناه الوحيده اللي بتقدم لكم شو الموضوع باستمرار هو قناه الاخبار. فاقلها انه تتابعونا، تتفاعلوا معنا وتعملوا شير لمحتوى. لايك وفولو على فيسبوك انستغرام وتيك توك. سبسكرايب على يوتيوب كمان على حسين هاشم من قناة الأخبار. إلى أن نلقاكم بحلقات مقبلة من هذا البرنامج وبرامج أخرى وتغطيات ثانية مستمرين إن شاء الله بإذن الله نحن وياكم. إلى اللقاء وبرعاية الله.